There's no sound. I know there's no sound. Whenever you're ready to go live, we can go live. Alrighty. Uh, well, thank you very much for having this conversation with me. I made a list of like 6 people, and I think that even if I wasn't a fan of yours, you'd have to be on the list because you have. I don't think you're a free speech absolutist, but I feel like you're close.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you've said that you're not a free speech absolutist, right?
I mean, um, I think free speech absolutists believe. I don't know what that means. I
Yeah.
know Elon Musk just said he was one, and I don't think he is. I think it's not a good idea to say you're a free speech absolutist because there's always somebody more of an absolutist than you are, and then you look stupid. So I'm pro free speech. I believe that social media is the new public square, and that it must be protected by the First Amendment.
Um, I don't think I used to think that, but I think I do now. Uh, It's
You've
getting
seen
kind of
enough.
bad.
Yeah,
It's getting pretty bad, yeah. Um,
yeah,
People don't, especially when people don't know why they're getting removed. It seems like this is very easy for um, anybody who's in the right place to influence who can have a voice and who can't.
yeah, yeah. Just the idea that speech is now tied to advertising dollars, um, and this is like where we have most of our conversations. I tried to send Shaylin a porn link last night on Facebook Messenger, and it
Hmm.
blocked it.
I had the I had something similar happen. It wasn't even porn. It was a link off of Pornhub, and I thought it was funny that there was like a movie on Pornhub. So I tried to send it to my roommate, and it was like, "No, you can't send this."
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like that the idea that like we have to protect Facebook's advertisers from my fucking private DMs is insane.
That is weird. Yeah. And then the idea too is that like if Walmart is advertising through them, um, like Walmart can decide that they don't want certain things to be shared on there.
Right. Yeah.
I think that freaks me out a bit.
Yeah.
Um, so considering that you're not in, I don't really know how anybody would define free speech absolutism either. I heard somebody yesterday say that they were a free speech absolutist, and I plan on trying to talk to them too. Where do you draw the line? Where do you think it's you don't have the right to say certain things anymore?
I think the First Amendment does a really good job of outlining that. I mean, I like America's existing speech laws. I think are pretty good. Um, the only thing I think is one is a little weird is obscenity,
Yeah,
where if you have speech that appeals to the prurient interest and in its context is deemed offensive and lacks no social, political, artistic, uh, or I don't know, literary, scientific, or other kind of value, then it's obscene and it's illegal. I guess I don't want other people deciding what has political, scientific value. But I get the idea is like they don't want you playing porn on like a giant TV screen at a a playground or something. So I guess I mean I think it's a good law. I just think it's abusable, but there haven't really been cases lately. I mean, it seems like we do a pretty good job of free speech in the United States, except now most of my speech happens on platforms. I think this is where we talk the most is on social media platforms now, and they're not protected. So we have this like great protection that doesn't actually apply to most things. But yeah, so I guess I just agree with U.S. law.
um, I'm not entirely sure if I do. You see the obscenities thing. Everybody usually seems to say like it's not really enforced. One time I was in a massive parking lot uh, like doctors' offices. And I was far away from all the buildings, and my ex-wife and I got into an argument, and I started yelling at her. And there was a cop who drove by and stopped and told me I had to stop. And I said, "It's not illegal to yell at somebody." And he said, "Yes, it is." And he threatened to arrest me if I didn't stop yelling at her.
For
Um,
disturbing the peace.
I think he said, yeah, I think he said disturbing the peace. Yeah.
It depends on what you're yelling to, because it could be assault if they think you're gonna hit them.
No, I wouldn't have hit her.
Well, I know, but if you yell at a random person and they fear that you're going to hit them, I think that could be assault.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think assault is putting somebody in reasonable fear that they're in danger.
Yeah, I know that's when you can claim self-defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can enforce the tech companies to do anything about this. I've talked to a few people about that, and I think they could just like where does the internet exist? There's no like sovereignty over the internet, really.
Well, um, there's a Texas law that's, I think, going to the Supreme Court soon, called HB 20, that basically would force all social media companies to not censor protected speech.
Uh,
You should check it out.
yeah, I heard about that. I don't know if it's enforceable.
Sure it is. Why
Huh.
not?
Well, I guess to a point. I guess I don't know what would stop somebody like Facebook or Google from just declaring a different location that they have somewhere else in the world, their headquarters, and now they're no longer under U.S. jurisdiction.
Well, it's not about the headquarters. The law says that no company can do this to the residents of Texas. Like, there's still, if you have customers in Texas, you're still operating in Texas.
Hmm. I
I
guess
guess what they could say, they could block every user in Texas, but that seems fairly impossible.
you're punishing the victim then as well.
I just don't. I mean, I don't know what they would do, but
Yeah.
there's I think Florida has a similar challenge, but I think the Texas one is going to the Supreme Court soon, so that should set a precedent of like whether a state even can do this, and if they can, then I imagine many will follow suit, and then you're going to have to start allowing porn and racism on Facebook.
Do you think it's that bill also protects porn from being shared as well?
I think so. Um, I think so. Maybe not porn. Maybe just um, hate. But I think it. I think I don't know. You should check it out.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
don't
dig
know.
into it a
I don't
little
know what
bit
I'm
more.
talking about. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's fair. Um,
Yeah.
so uh, I know that you've been obviously Twitch and YouTube. You've been punished for saying things. Actually, I'm hearing
I've
myself
been
a little bit
arrested for saying things.
about the. Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I've been punished for saying things since I was a 16-year-old boy. I got suspended in high school 4 times. I got arrested and barred from campus for I think for 2 months in college. I've been questioned. I was detained by the police um, 3 years ago for a joke on Reddit, and yeah, I've been banned from YouTube. This is my third time being banned, and reinstated twice. So banned on the same account 3 times, and I've been banned from Twitch. I've been banned from. I got banned from Over It,
The hell is
which is
over
like
it?
Over It is the gender critical turf safe haven clone of Reddit. it's over OVAR, like ovary, OVARIT, over it. The turfs made their own little kingdom or queendom or whatever, and I got they banned me. They
Oh,
banned me. I'm banned from TikTok. Yeah,
it looks like a Reddit clone. It
it's a Reddit
is.
clone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
yeah. So I've been I've you know what? There's one I don't think I've talked about. I uh I went to Colorado State for one semester, and I wrote uh 2 columns for the school paper. Um, One was about sexism in sports, and I was like, I can't remember how I like led up to it, but I was like, it's not it's not right that we only care about men's sports, and that Colorado State should have a bikini football league with like lube covered girls slathering lube on each other and fighting over a latex baseball or latex football. And then I started my own newsletter, and I had 4 issues of that, and then I reapplied there. I left after a semester, and I reapplied there a year and a half later, and they said you can come back if you submit to a psychological evaluation. And if you pass the psych eval, then you can come back to school.
Did you agree?
I went to the University of Colorado instead anyways. That was like my backup was I'll go to Colorado State if I don't get in to see you, but I did. So, but I did have a psychological evaluation as part of my arrest, and I passed.
Um. I had a similar situation. I to go to the technical center, uh, in my area, I had to sign a paper agreeing that I wouldn't speak to anybody, staff or student, about religion whatsoever because it was too much of a hassle for me to speak to anyone about any religion at all.
Because of something you had done?
Because I have spoken about religion. Yeah, there. I lived in rural Michigan, and very much they push Christianity's everywhere. They have church organizations in the school, and I wasn't Christian, and so I would talk to people about it. Um, Not to mention that I basically studied religion, like as a like more than a hobby, I guess, like an obsession since I was 13, and there was just like a lot of weird things that were allowed that really bothered me, and yeah, I caused some problems at my high school, and the guy who ran the technical center used to run my high school, so he was like, "Oh, I know you. You're not if you're gonna be here, you're not allowed to speak to anybody about religion." And I felt like my freedom of religion and my freedom of speech were being taken away from me.
Is that a publicly funded
Yeah, it
center?
yeah broke the laws. I when I first I
That's
got
against the law, yeah.
yeah I got kicked out of school for wearing a shirt that was a memorial for the founder of Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. It was the day he died. If you've never read any of his books, he's a great essay writer. He wrote a lot of essays, and so I came back with a hoodie on that said, I'm wearing this because I don't have the same freedom of religion that a Christian student has. And I was threatened with expulsion, and I was threatened that he would stop me from getting my GED. So I dropped out and got my GED because I
That's
couldn't.
illegal.
Yeah, I reached out to the ACLU, and they sent me a case study about some kid wearing a Marilyn Manson shirt where he's beating Jesus with a cross. I was like, that's not comparable. And then they just fucked right off. The ACLU didn't care, so I just didn't know what else to do.
Well, that sucks. They represented me in high school and college.
Yeah, I saw about that.
Yeah.
I feel like if that happened to a Christian student, they would be hailed as a hero. They'd be on Fox News giving interviews, signing babies. Uh, it always struck me as weird. So yeah, it's weird that even public like we would think that like schools and things like that can't favor religions over one another, which is one of the rules.
Yeah.
But it still happens.
Yeah.
Um,
It does.
I talked to Wick on Saturday, and I kind of got the idea of freedom of speech seems to end where. Well, this is the idea that I had when I was talking to him. When you use it to do something other than just expressing your ideas. Um, so like I have the freedom to drive my car. Nobody's allowed to tell me I'm not allowed to drive if I have my license and all that. But if I start using my car to run through buildings or run over people, I'm not really just driving my car. So if I'm using my speech to harass somebody, or if I'm using my speech to threaten somebody and like as a credible threat, then I'm not really just using free speech. I'm using speech to perform another action. Do you think that
Yeah.
lines up right with what you think?
I think I agree with the examples you gave. I don't know if I'm ready to sign off of this as like a governing idea I agree to, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far out that extends for me either. That's just a new perspective I've gained in doing these conversations about speech. What I'm more interested in really is political correctness.
Yeah.
Uh, the last person I spoke to spoke of it as an influence, but I think it's like a control grab more than just people trying to influence you. Uh, do you agree or disagree with that? And like, how what do you think about? I think we could just call it a movement at this point. Political correctness.
Political correctness. Uh, I don't think I want to dismiss it uh, so offhandedly.
I wasn't trying to be. I was trying to be descriptive of it. Um,
As a movement, I mean, I wouldn't call it a movement because I think different people have different ideas about what political correctness is. I think it's like a value that
hmm,
says, well, it's a technique. I mean, the words clearly imply it's about optics. It's not you're politically correct when you are not offending your constituents. I think it's about optics for politicians. They want to say the thing that's politically correct, and then I think it kind of extends to why um, if they want to be called little people, why would you say midget? Do you really get anything out of the word midget? The politically correct term is little people. That's the word that little people want you to use, and so that's what we should say. There's no reason to like hurt people's feelings. Uh, or unless you have a specific reason, then you shouldn't. And I think I agree with that idea. Um,
I think I mostly do, but I disagree with the term "little people." That's the only one. I've basically given my friends and family lectures about that phrase. But otherwise, yeah, I
really,
think I agree. Yeah. Um,
you disagree with it? Is it outdated or is it like am I behind the times?
it's just bizarre. So midget didn't inherently have any negativity tied to it. We just sort of started deciding that there was something wrong with it. But then little person takes away your status as a person. Like, oh, Dave, he's not a person. He's a little person.
Well,
It's
I think
like
person is included, and I don't agree with that at all.
it just sounds it comes off as very derogatory towards me. And when I first heard it, I thought it was like the N word for midgets when I first heard it.
No, midget is the N word for little people.
Yeah. Uh
I think it's more. I don't think it's the N word. I think it's more like Negro. There's nothing inherently offensive about Negro. It just means black, right?
yeah.
But eventually, if the word is used in certain ways and accumulates certain connotations, then black people don't want to be called Negroes anymore. I think it's the same thing. I mean, there's nothing inherently offensive about most offensive slurs or terms. I think once they become weaponized as insults, because you can call someone a midget who isn't a little person. It's a word you can hurl,
Yeah.
whereas you're not going to derogatorily call someone a little person, or it's like retarded. It's like a retarded person. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna be like, oh, you're so developmentally disabled like that. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. I think a lot of groups opt for a term that doesn't roll off the tongue. African American. This is what's unique about Jews. I think Jews are one of the only groups that's just like keeping the term Jew, even though it does roll off the tongue as an insult.
Yeah. And when I was in school too, I thought that that was the bad word for Jewish people.
It
When I,
is.
yeah,
That's what's great about it. It's the right word and it's a bad word. It's a slur. It's been slurified and yet it's still the right word.
yeah, that's true. I
I
read
mean,
it.
there's obviously there's more worse slurs, but yeah.
Yeah, I read it in a paper, and I walked up to my teacher and I said, I don't think like is this okay? And they were like, yeah, that's the word for it. Because it also said Hebrew in there too, and I thought that that's just what you were supposed to say. But I didn't
Yeah.
interact with enough Jewish people to like find myself in the situation. I just had heard it be used negatively. Yeah, that is. It's a very interesting and weird one.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you bump heads a lot with political correctness advocates, more or less. But you seem to support the idea. How do you balance that? You say a lot of things that are not politically correct, and I'm sure you
I
get
do.
a good amount of blowback from that.
Um I don't say things that are politically incorrect in the it kind of in the sense that we're talking about. I guess I do when I'm rapping, but in my normally when I'm just talking, I don't like call people Negroes or midgets. I'm pretty
Do you call people retarded?
I call people retarded. That's true.
Yeah, I do too.
That that's politically incorrect. That's true.
Yeah,
But a lot of people do that. I guess I don't think of I don't I think it's more like the ideas I express are politically incorrect, like disagreeing about like trans stuff. That's politically incorrect. But I think the language I use to do so is pretty politically correct.
outside of your rap, I would say so. I think that you have the most agreeable positions of somebody on trans issues that I wholeheartedly disagree with. I
Well,
describe
but
it as
also
being wrong for the
also
right reasons, and then
oh,
you go
that's
the
fair.
right
I
way
agree.
about, and you go the right way about it as well.
Yeah, I think but I think the language I use to talk about trans people is pretty politically correct. But
Yeah,
the things I'm saying with the language are not. Um, how do I balance? I don't know. What do you mean?
I guess you seem to hold it to a high value, but like you're a rapper, it seems like you can't be a rapper and be politically correct.
No, no,
It'd be
no.
just
I
be
mean, I think
silly.
it, yeah, in different contexts. I guess I just mean in the context of like my normal speech or public speaking. I'm pretty political. I'm less politically correct when it's just me and Jalen, you
Uh,
or our friends.
when the camera's off, I'm a lot edgier than I am in any public space online for sure. Maybe there's a couple places online where I feel a little bit more free, but yeah, you feel like when you turn on a camera or you're typing up a post on a Reddit or in a Discord, you can feel that there's like a pressure that didn't used to exist on the internet. And it's very much there.
Hmm.
So political correctness isn't just well, it's a value, but it's also it's like a looming consequence if you slip up.
Yeah, social consequences, which can become financial consequences, especially if social media is your job, then serious financial consequences.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I
Um,
don't know about slipping up. I don't think that's true.
uh,
I
well,
disagree with you there.
I've
I
slipped
disagree.
up. I called somebody retarded who was constantly annoying in a group I was in, and I didn't
Yeah.
know that they were actually autistic. I had no way of knowing this whatsoever. They were just always really annoying, and they would spam a bunch of like really dumb, annoying questions all the time. And so one day
Mhm.
I was like, nobody ever calls this guy out. Everybody hates his posts, so I'm gonna call him out. And I said, like, nobody wants to see all your retarded shit in here like this. Like, if you're gonna talk about something, like, you could have a little bit more structure to it. And I don't know if I already said it, but like I slipped in, like I called him retarded in it, uh,
Mhm.
and I got banned. I just wasn't allowed to be there anymore. And I thought at first, I vented to somebody, and they were like, "Well, you called an autistic guy retarded." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that he was autistic. I wouldn't have done that had I had known, but I didn't know." So I got removed from the group. I was banned from a group called Outrageously Offensive for making an offensive joke.
What joke?
Uh, So somebody posted it was a this was like a secret Facebook group. Somebody had a picture of like a keg and a gun on a table, and I don't really know what the joke was supposed to be. And somebody said my daughter has a bigger gun than that, making fun of this little snub nose. And I said, "Oh, your daughter sounds like a whore. What's her number?" And he said, "You son of a bitch, my daughter's 2." And I was like, "Well, hey man, chill out. I was just making a joke. Also, I never got that number." And well, but the thing is, the daughter obviously isn't real because he
Okay,
doesn't
but
have a
that's not
2-year-old that owns
okay.
a gun.
I don't. I disagree with you.
Uh,
I don't
okay.
think these are slip ups. You called a guy's daughter a whore and then doubled down on it when you found out she was 2.
Well, she was,
I
it
would.
was she was imaginary. There's not a 2-year-old with a
That
gun,
that's not a slip up though.
I
You
suppose.
you decided to do that, and you decided to call that guy retarded. That's not, like, the reason you're not supposed to call people retarded is because there are people of all different abilities and intelligences probably present when you're saying the word, and certainly there's people who are present who have family members who are disabled or autistic or have some type of Down syndrome or whatever, some type of sickness, no, some type of condition that is going to make the word offensive to them. Um, and you're choosing to do that. So I've accidentally misgendered people
Sure.
on stream,
Oh,
and nobody said anything. I didn't get in trouble, and I wouldn't get in trouble. The platforms are not going to ban. I don't. I just don't. I guess I just don't agree with the idea that you're like on thin ice, and if you accidentally, like, oh, I didn't know the right word for the thing, now I'm getting in trouble. I don't see that happening a lot. I see people deliberately choosing to break the social rule, and then they get punished. And I don't agree with those rules, but I don't think it goes as far as if you accidentally say the wrong combination of syllables because you like had a cough or a stroke or something, that you're going to get punished. I don't agree with that. There
I,
has to be an
I
intent there.
understand. I think I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I took it the wrong way. I think I have uh almost accidentally said things that have been very bad, but I have usually caught myself. I've tightened up my language a lot in the last 2 years. I had to clean up my speech because I realized that it seems like people as a whole are becoming more sensitive to things, which is
Yeah.
okay, I suppose. But it's weird. You're not that far from me in age, so I assume that you grew up saying a lot of the same things as me when you were a kid,
Probably
calling
not.
somebody well, no? Oh yeah, you grew
No.
up in a much more liberal area. Well, when you were
Yeah.
a kid, did boys call each other fags a lot as an
Not
insult?
my not my friends.
Oh man.
No.
That was a big thing. And then when I was a kid, it was
No.
funny. When I was a teenager, it stopped being funny. And now it seems like everybody knows that it's bad so well that and that homophobia has been like shoved into the dark corners where people don't where people are afraid to say it. That now when somebody says it, ironically, it's funny again. It seems like it's come back as like an ironic thing that everybody knows is a joke because nobody would ever call somebody a fag out of hate anymore.
Yeah, I think I do agree that the word has been pretty sanitized by that. If you decently trust that the people around you are not homophobic, then people seem to be more okay with the word.
Yeah. Um,
But I didn't grow up using it. Um, never. My friends didn't even say, like, when people would be like, "Oh, that's so gay." Like, no, my friends didn't do that. I didn't do that.
is that just the area you grew up in, or were people just
Some
like
some some
particularly value?
some kids some kids did, and but a lot didn't. I mean, yeah, it was very liberal area where we were just taught never to do that. Like, I didn't like no, I can't. I'm sure it happened, but I can't remember any racial comments made toward anyone by anyone except white people. Even then, it wasn't really open season on white. It was open season on white people as a concept, but that's why it's so weird to me. Getting to college and people started commenting on me being a Jew. I was like, I'd never I'd never had people talk to me or treat me like I'm like different from I guess white people. And I had some awareness that like I was in high school, but I never experienced it. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of hatred of white people, men, white men, straight white men. Um, but I didn't grow up speaking politically incorrectly,
Huh.
even in private.
So then, I guess it seems odd that having that yeah, your music is very very edgy. Particularly the new song is I feel like you really danced on a fine line with the new song. I loved it, but it was you really toyed with the N word a lot.
I did. I did. I played with it. I made it my plaything. Um, yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to Eminem, obviously, and other rappers. So I said the N word. I mean, when I was rapping along with the rappers I listened to, I would say the N word all the time. But um, I guess there were times where my friends and I would say the N word in private, um, not to refer to black people, but just
Just to say it.
yeah, to
Yeah,
fucking say it. Yeah.
yeah. I had that.
I was
I very
never
much had that experience.
I was never like a Xbox Live. Like, I was never on Call of Duty calling other people the N-word. I never did that. I I'll still partake in an N-word here and there in private, in the sanctity of my own home, um, with my lovely enabling girlfriend. Um, she doesn't like it. Actually, she
uh,
doesn't really like it.
I,
But
that's
and
really
that
funny.
maybe and I like that she doesn't like it, and that makes me want to do it more.
I I was on a date with somebody and I played one of your songs. Um, because I think that
You're
uh,
Polly,
yeah, yeah. I was on a date with a woman and
because there's a woman doing your dishes in the background.
oh, I didn't know that. Oh, and then it got loud. Yell me.
We hear a woman doing your dishes, and you're talking about being on a date
Yes.
with another woman, and so I just wanted to give the context.
Yeah, I'm polyamorous as
You're
fuck.
You're Polly.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
So
because it talked about streaming and stuff, and so I was just like, I guess I'll just play a song. And um, of all the things that she could have been upset about in the song, this is a very, very progressive woman. The kind where you can tell by looking at the way she's dressed, you're like, oh, she's liberal.
she white.
Yes. Um, and uh, she was noticeably upset by the song, and I was like, oh, I wonder what it was. And I played You Know What Makes Me Horny, and there's a good slew of things that might make somebody upset. And
Or horny.
and she latched on to the N word and goes, "Oh, I just don't like that." And I was like, "In a song?" And that led to like an entire conversation about she thinks it's wrong to sing along with it in the vehicle. And I just thought this is such a weird idea that even if you were by yourself, you wouldn't sing along with the song. She says, "No, not at all."
Now, is it wrong in the shower or just in a vehicle? Because in a vehicle, other people can see you and possibly hear you.
I think she wouldn't sing it alone in her apartment
Okay.
with nobody around for a mile. That was very much the messaging that I got.
Okay. Her feeling was just like it's not our word.
Yeah, and that it's disrespectful to people who aren't even present to sing along with it.
White people invented that fucking word. You race traitor. How dare you say that's not your word?
That's
No,
funny.
I get what she's saying. That it's been reclaimed and it's wrong to use it.
Uh, yeah, I think I had we
What do you
talked
think
about it
about
for a
that? Do
while.
you think there's any? Is there any? Oh, yeah. How the conversation like? Were you did you move her? Did she move you at all?
I think I understood where she was coming from, but I pretty much said I think that if you don't hurt somebody, then you're not hurting anybody. If you're not uh singing along with it where somebody's going to be hurt, then you're not doing anything wrong. And I think we just kind of respectfully agreed to disagree. But
Wait a second.
yeah,
If I take a picture of Shaylin
yeah,
and get it printed out,
yeah,
and I have a dartboard in my office, and I throw darts at it,
yeah,
uh, and it's photoshopped to make her look really stupid.
sure,
It's one of those faces she makes that gets under your skin. It's that, but it's more exaggerated. And I'm throwing darts at it every day, and I never tell her.
hmm.
I think I could see that maybe I'm doing something wrong.
I think if you feel like you're doing something wrong with that, you are.
Well, that I would argue that she feels the same way. That just because no one knows you're doing it, you're still you know when after you're in your apartment you're saying the n-word privately in your soundproof apartment, but then afterward you go and meet up with your black neighbor in the elevator and you're riding down chatting with them, or your black friends, or your black partner who doesn't know that you do that comes home and you hi uh i I think I could see the argument that in a way you're like lying to all of the black people in your life because you have to hide that you do that. I guess that's what's wrong is that you're doing something and but they think that you're not the kind of person that would do it, but you are. But you're like, I'm doing it in the privacy of my own. You get what I'm saying? I feel like there could be something wrong with that.
I think so. But I think that I just wouldn't hide it. Um, so I
But
used to.
she would.
I see.
Like there are people in jobs like a white public sixth grade teacher or public school sixth grade teacher cannot publicly disclose that they say the N word when they listen to rap. They could get fired.
Yeah,
And right, so the kids and the parents and everybody at the school, all their black teachers in the teachers lounge and everybody, they all think that the person doesn't do that. It's assumed, I guess, that they don't. Or say it's more than just singing along to lyrics. Say they use the word derogatorily, but in the privacy of their own home.
gotcha.
So
Hmm.
there's like a thing where they're pretending You know, like I guess that's what political correctness does. Is you're pretending you're not just not saying it. You're pretending that you wouldn't say it. I think guess that's how I balance it. I think that this is the answer to the question you asked me earlier. I'm not gonna, and I think you're doing the same thing. I will abide by the rules, and the same thing with trans shit, horse shit. I will play along because I those are the rules, but I'm not going to pretend that I am naturally doing so or that I agree with the values. I'm doing it because I believe in the part about civility and not hurting people unnecessarily, but I'm not because I believe in the basis of those requests.
Yeah, I think that's how I operate with it as well. I'm pretty clear about where I stand about just who I am
But,
and the kinds of things that I do, but I'm not gonna be a dick to other
but
people.
that's a pretty privileged position.
True.
Most people's jobs depend on them pretending they have different political beliefs than they actually do,
Um,
including conservatives, maybe especially conservatives.
yeah, well, it definitely kept me out of some work in when I lived in the rural areas. Even
Yeah.
I know I don't look it now, but I used to get a lot more sun back then, and I was a lot darker and with the beard. Uh, I had very much had people. People thought I was Middle Eastern a lot, and they really don't like that up there. I've been denied jobs for it. I've been my first girlfriend that I had up there. Her dad came and picked her up and said she wasn't allowed to see me because he fought the war against people like me. And I'm not even the thing that they hate. So I understand that there's definitely you kind of have to fall into line and do what people want you to do when it comes to things like jobs and even education. Couldn't talk about
Yeah.
religion either, which is a little bit different. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't really feel like I could have just chose to be Christian either. Um, so yeah, it is a privileged position to not hide
I don't. Well, I think a
my
lot of Christians
behavior.
are just pretending to be Christian. I feel like a lot of
Most of
gr-
them,
well, I think most people. That's what I'm saying is I think
yeah.
most people are just like, what am I supposed to say? Okay, I'll just say that. And I think it's a fairly privileged position to. I mean, especially for me, where I literally get paid to not say the thing I'm being pressured to say now. Like it's actually my job. So I will get fired from my job if I stop doing it at this point. But I just think it's easy to kind of shrug off political correctness or people who abide by it, like the girl you're on a date with. When I don't know, I just think that there is a there is a dishonesty to saying the N word in private but pretending you don't that maybe is wrong.
I think the dishonesty comes from the fact that if you say, if you were to say it publicly, like, "Oh yeah, I say the N word in private all the time," and
Yeah.
people and you go, "Well, it's just when I'm singing along to songs." I'm a big fan of Joyner Lucas and Tech Nine. When they say the word, I say it. People aren't going to be upset with you because you sing along to that music. They're going to be upset with you because now they view you as a racist person who is in some way by saying it publicly too. In addition to you saying it at all, uh, which they're going to perceive as you being a racist person, the fact that you said that you do it privately in that context now somehow is going to add to like racist ideology, like that you're going to be emboldening racists out there. So I don't think that it's necessarily just that you're
I
pretending. I
don't
think
agree.
that
I
you
don't.
have to pretend it to some degree that you don't because it's going to be taken as something that you're not actually doing.
I think it's okay, but the type of racist that they're saying you are is that you are careless and like callous and selfish and entitled. Not that they don't think you're a white supremacist. They think you just don't give a shit.
But it seems like the punishment is the same for both.
I don't think so. I think if you said
Well,
if
they're similar.
I think you'd get pretty different responses if you were like, I say the N word in private every time I see Barack Obama on my fucking TV because I hate him and he should never have been elected president. That's very different from I say the N word in private because I like Joyner Lucas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I shouldn't have said the same, but I think you get a similar response. The response is still pretty
I
strong.
know. I just feel okay, but I just feel like when you were saying because they think you're a racist person, you were saying it as though it's like a ridiculous idea for somebody to call you racist for saying the N word along with a black rapper. But if what they mean by racist is that you are an intrusive, entitled white person who can't accept that anything isn't for you, it's a much more I don't agree with it, but I think I understand it rather than like they're not saying you're like in the KKK because you're emulating Joyner Lucas.
Yeah, actually, this is like a perfect analogy for the reason I got interested in this conversation to begin with. Um, Lots of times when people call somebody racist as a like politically correct, like as a political correction, what they're usually saying is that you're contributing to a system, like you're committing a or doing a microaggression, and this is going to contribute to overall like systemic racism. Uh,
Right.
but
You're part of the problem.
right, but I still think that the branding of racism is going to carry a lot more weight than something that might be something casual like that. Because I heard an argument where somebody called somebody racist and they said, "I'm not racist. My best friend is black," and it
Yeah.
seemed like these two people heard the same word but found a very different meaning in it. And instead of explaining to the other person, because when it says my best friend is black, what they're demonstrating is that I do not think that white people are better than black people. I don't think that anybody's inferior. My best friend is black. This is an example of how I can show that, like, I don't think this. And the other person then is just sort of wielding this political correctness as a way to essentially harm the person and harm their reputation by proceeding to like dunk on them for saying that my best friend is black, because that's always going to be met with some kind of and in this instance it was met with like some kind of like shitty dunk on the person who's just confused as to why this person is so mad now.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a shitty dunk.
You don't think that when the other person is clearly demonstrating that they're
No,
hearing you say that I think that you
because that is the criticism of them that they don't know what the fuck is going on. They're saying you're a clueless white person stepping on everybody around you with no idea that you're doing it, and that is what we're calling racist now. Because there was a time when racist meant you threw rocks at black people and called them the N word. Now racism has changed, and that's not the common type. The common type of racism now is you're saying you're engaging in some trope about people of color or even white people, but you're not aware that you're doing it. You're spreading you're saying something racist without knowing that it's racist, but you should know. You should know better. And I think at this point in time in 2022, you should know that saying my best friend is black is like 30 years out of date and does not address the charge against you. That's not what people are accusing you of being. They're accusing you of being a clueless and sensitive buffoon who benefits from being white in society and is stomping on the people around you without realizing it.
I don't think that I believe in you should have known better arguments. I think if somebody doesn't know better, you shouldn't treat them bad. You should explain to them, and then after that, then hold them accountable. If you know somebody doesn't know better, it just feels like you're punishing them for something they couldn't have helped because they didn't know.
But that's why. Okay, I'm not saying that they're objectively like bad or wrong for not knowing. I'm saying that if the person calling them racist
Mhm.
is not white,
Oh,
the
these are two white
fact,
people, but go
okay,
on.
okay. The fact that they don't know is part of what people are mad about. That they don't have to know better. That they can just traipse through life not even understanding that for the last 30 years, black people have been screaming at white people to stop saying, but my best friend is black. The fact that they still don't know that is the thing that they're mad about. You would have to really not be paying attention to not know that at this point, I think.
I think that's probably pretty valid.
So I'm not saying I would make the same dunk, and maybe getting dunks is shitty at all, but I don't think it's like completely um like cruel and meritless to be angry at somebody for not knowing better when that's like, I didn't know. Is That's like the epitome of white privilege. It's like, well, nobody told, I don't know, nobody told me. Like that's like the fucking stereotypical grandparent. I mean, like, what did I say wrong now? And it's like, and it's annoying.
Nobody that I've brought that example to has said that prior to this. I think that's a pretty good point. Also, you're a lot more pro PC than I think that most people would expect you to be.
Uh, Maybe. I think that being politically incorrect without understanding why people want you. It's not that I don't think people should be politically correct at all costs. I think if you're going to break the rules, then that's fine. But breaking the rules without understanding why people feel the way they do about them seems insensitive. Did you hear that stream where that guy called in to yell at me for saying the N word?
Which one? Was it the recent one, or
No,
is it a pretty old
it
one?
was the 2 hours 8 stream.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, I really liked your response.
Yeah, like a black guy called in, and he was just like, "It really hurt me that you said the N word on your album." And he was like, "I know you're irreverent, and that whatever, but it hurts." And it's like, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing I can say to that.
Yeah. Um, I think you said something. If not specifically, I think you either said you were sorry or amounted to that.
No,
It was well.
I did not fucking apologize
Well,
to somebody calling in to yell at me about my lyrics.
you said something akin to it though.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Bullshit.
I guess I remembered as it you saying that something along the lines of like I'm gonna still do it, but I'm sorry
Yeah.
that it hurt you. You may not have
No.
used those words, but that's
No. No.
because obviously I don't remember the exact transcript, but that was very much the vibe that it had.
No.
Oh, huh. Okay.
You're a fucking filthy liar.
I'm
I
not a
didn't say
liar.
that.
That is. I said I think this is me trying to recall from memory. I can just remember the vibe of it. I don't have like the transcript written out in my head. But I was throwing it out there for you to correct or not correct. But yeah. Um. Huh.
I don't know. I don't know what I said, but I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, when I was getting ready to say it, that's kind of why I stopped too. I was like, well, it seems like it'd be weird for him to apologize.
I think I just said I think I just said I understand why that hurts you, and I'm saying the word knowing that it will hurt people, and that's like part of the price of being irreverent, especially about that word is that it does hurt people.
I think that so if I were to sum up what you're saying, is that people, it's okay to not be politically correct, but you have to do so accepting of the consequences that come from it.
I don't know if it's okay. I think what I said to him, I think I was like, it's not, yeah, you're right. It's not okay for me to use that word, and that is why I did it. But you're right.
Oh, I meant taking in the last thing that you said in account with like everything else that you've said. It seems like the
But I'm not
idea.
saying it's okay. It's not okay. That's the whole point. The whole point of being politically incorrect is that it's not okay. You're saying something that isn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a because like again like no like I don't think it's a. There's certain things that are politically incorrect that I just like would never do.
Not
There's
even a
certain
rap
political
song.
no.
Where would you draw the line?
I definitely wouldn't call a black person the N word in a rap song
That's fair.
unless it was extremely funny. Then I would. But for the purpose of like, well, now I have to. But before I said this, I would never have done it. I think for the purpose of demeaning them or degrading them, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think that's for a long time I held the idea that it's perfectly okay to say the N word in jokes or when you're singing along, but never to degrade somebody. And the only argument that anybody really strongly had was that if you do that, then you're going to be more likely to slip up and say it where you shouldn't. And I argued against it until I almost slipped up and said it when I shouldn't. I didn't. That was a big wake up call for me, and that's when I started cleaning up my language a lot. I was like, well, shit, I guess I was just dead fucking wrong. That very much is the case, and I'm going to chill the fuck out now. Because I genuinely don't want to hurt people. I do make a lot more edgy jokes in real life. And I usually say to people, hey, if I say anything that offends you, let me know, and it won't happen again. Because it's hard to know what's going to hurt somebody's feelings.
I guess.
Uh, you've never accidentally hurt one of your friend's feelings?
That's not what I'm saying.
By being like with a joke or something like that?
Accidentally,
Yeah,
I've purposely hurt my friends' feelings with jokes.
that's fair.
I've made jokes that I thought there was a chance were going to hurt my friends' feelings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Uh,
very careful
I try to be, but
with
then I relax.
don't relax on stream.
No, I try to keep it pretty tight on stream.
I think this is another reason I stream for like 2 or 3 hours.
Uh,
Uh, People are like criticize my long pauses. I'm like, you know that what like if you say something, everybody hears you say it, and it can be clipped and then you said it forever. I think I think pausing before you say something is probably a good idea if you're being broadcast.
yeah, people think it makes you like weird, or I think they take it as a sign of weakness, really. But I
Or they think it's fake. It's acting to be more dramatic.
that's
Um,
weird.
I guess I'm laughing and pushing back at the idea of I think I think most times when people get offended, it's because the person intentionally said what they're trying to say. I sometimes people blurt things out, but I think even if you blurt out the N word, at a black person, um, I think for sure they'll be taken aback. They'll be like, "Dude, what the fuck?" But I don't think it's gonna be nearly the same reaction as if you like look them in the eye and like grab their chin and they're like, "You know what you are?"
I think that'd be a bit more powerful. Um,
Yeah.
I think that maybe I'll just ask you what you think.
Okay.
Do you think that political correctness as a more powerful value that's more prominent in our society now is the reason why people virtue signal as much as they do now? It's sort of like the opposite effect. Instead of watching what you say so that you don't hurt people's feelings, you're watching what you say so that way people make sure that they know that you're a good guy.
Yeah. I agree that there's a constant fear, like the floor is lava and it's rising. You have to keep climbing and signaling that you're not touching it to escape it. And then if you push someone else into the lava, it makes you get like a little jump boost. You get to go a little higher. This is true of conservatives too. I feel like we're mostly talking about liberals, but conservatives virtue signal and have their own extremely strict now version of political correctness that seems to be almost entirely focused on drag queen story hour. Seems to be the main value that they think and talk about. But it's the same thing. It's still political. It's pedophilia
Yeah.
was the crack that political correctness is flowing through, and now it's totally infected conservatism, where that is the lava that's rising that they are all trying to push each other into and prove that they're not a pedophile, and in the left you're trying to prove that you're not a Nazi, but it's the same shit.
The first time I ever seen virtue signaling, again, living in a really rural area,
Yeah.
was one of my friends posted a meme on Facebook that said something to the effect of like, the only cure for a pedophile is a bullet. And then all the people in the comments were saying like, yeah, I would shoot them, or like wood chipper memes. And I commented like, wait, we're talking about people that actually hurt kids, right? Not people that just like are sick. And then people got really mad at me and just started doing the same thing. And I was like, this is insanity. This is like 8 years ago. And it's the first time I've ever seen anybody posture like this, and it freaked me out. And like nothing ever came of it. Like everybody on Facebook, if you live in a small town, is going to know who you are. Nobody took that offline, but I never seen anybody like grandstand for something that like they never. Nobody talks about that in real life. Nobody, when they go to the diner, like you don't hear anybody talking about how mad they are that these people exist. It was just when somebody saw a meme, they all decided that they needed to boost themselves and let everybody know just how violent they were willing to be. And
Yeah. Well, because if you don't, then it means you're a child molester.
yeah, I was lucky to have nobody call me one for making the comment that I made. They were just getting really, really vicious and trying to get me to be vicious as well. And I didn't really understand. Now I understand. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand that there was a word for it. I didn't hear virtue signaling for like another 5 years.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Yeah. Um, it, I think that I don't think it's a good thing. Uh, virtue
No,
signaling is lying. Yeah. I think
no,
ideally it would be you actually
no, not
telling people what
always.
your actual values are.
No, I think you can virtue signal without lying. Like if I just tweet out like racism is bad, I actually believe that.
Yeah.
It's not lying.
Um,
It's still virtue signaling.
I think a lot of times online, and especially in streams, people exaggerate their positions to virtue signal.
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
Um, Especially somebody in my chat said an unprompted call to violence against a group makes me feel like they're definitely not that group.
Oh, I haven't even been looking at chat.
Uh, it
Let's
looks
see
very
what these.
similar to yours.
I know how that feels.
There's a random hurting for a squirtin' amidst other comments.
Hurting for a squirting. Gaslight some more, yeah.
I think that was when I said that you implied that you apologized and you said you didn't. I think that's when I caught
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
yeah. You tricked me. You tried to trick me.
I didn't try to trick you, but
You absolutely did.
um oh yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit ago.
Oh yeah, virtue signaling.
Um yeah, it seems like you've only had negative things to say about it. But it seems to me as a direct virtue signaling is like a direct reaction to political correctness becoming more prominent.
I don't have only negative. I have only said negative things to say about it, but
Yeah.
I have positive things to say about it.
Won't lay it on us.
I mean, I think that's what I was saying to Destiny when I was like, you need to virtue signal about Nick Fuentes. You need to explain why what he's saying is wrong. I think I do that with feminism sometimes. If my audience gets really anti-woman, I think I'll make a point to be like, feminism is important to me, and like there was somebody arguing with me on the last Mr. Girl hotline, and then in Discord they're talking about it afterward about me saying that there is no like secondary reason why I think women should be allowed to vote, that it's just like a baseline um, value that I have, and I just believe it because I believe it. I just want women to vote and to have equal rights, and even if it makes society worse by some other metric, that metric is more important to me than any other metric that it could affect. That's virtue signaling for sure. But
Yeah, I don't think you ever say anything that's like super feminist without saying first, I'm a feminist. I think you state that position out there pretty well when I hear you make a strong feminist position
yeah, but
or take.
the yeah, but I think I try to virtue signal when I think it's needed. Um, if Ethan Klein says Nazis are bad, Nick Fuentes is terrible, then that's gonna like, we already know you think that. You don't need to say that. You need to say the thing that we don't know you think. Um, we don't know that you think that Nazi speech should be protected by the First Amendment. We don't know that you think that violence against Nazis is wrong, or that you just denounce all forms of political violence, including violence by Black Lives Matter protesters or rioters. We don't know that Ethan Klein says those things would be powerful if he said those things. But what we need to hear Destiny say, or needed. I think the ship has sailed now. Now it would come off as weak because uh, they've cut ties and they're not friendly anymore. But we needed to hear Destiny say about Fuentes is that he's a Nazi, or if he really believes he's not a Nazi, that he's not a Nazi, but that his beliefs are wrong. That he morally denounces those beliefs, even if they're logically sound, that it's not about logic, that it's wrong. And that moral denouncement, um, all logical argument about like politics and values is an appeal to a downstream moral or emotional belief.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to. You can also move the moral belief upstream and say, we don't have to argue about what the effect on the country would be if you kicked all the Jews and blacks out of the country. I'm telling you, I'm going to move my moral belief upstream and say that is already wrong.
Yeah.
That in itself is wrong. So we don't like you like I don't care what happened to the GDP. I don't care what would happen to the average person's like self-reported happiness level. I don't care what would happen to the crime rate. I don't care what would happen to like international politics. It doesn't, none of that matters. Same thing with putting pedophiles in a wood chipper.
Yeah.
That in itself that's wrong. It's wrong to put people in a wood chipper. It's wrong to torture and kill people to make yourself feel good. And so it doesn't matter if you took every would-be child abuser or user of child porn or whatever and you put them all in a wood chipper right now, then there would be no more child abuse and no more child pornography if you did that. But that's wrong. We can't do that. That itself is wrong. And I think that virtue signaling can be used pretty powerfully to take those downstream moral bedrock things that we agree on and say like, no, there's actually something much more immediate that you're saying that I vehemently, emotionally, and morally object to, which is really powerful if the people listening don't know or don't remember that that's how you feel. And uh, I think that is a form of virtue signaling that is necessary sometimes. Or
Y-
good. I don't know if it's not that. I agree with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, it, although I don't think that's the way that it usually gets applied. Usually gets applied in these weird purity tests.
Yeah, usually people are saying something that they know their audience already agrees with, and their audience already knows they believe, and it's just a reaffirmation that you're in the camp that you purport to be in.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's used to try to pin somebody else down. Say like,
Yeah,
this is what I think. This is how good I am, and then it's sort of a challenge to the other party to then say that they're just as good or better. If not, they can condemn them.
I'm gonna stand up because my back hurts.
I understand. Um,
I overstand.
uh, so I do you. I feel like you must see the that we're suffering some negative consequences from this political correctness value. I think that most people, even people who generally ascribe to it, because I think that I behave pretty well where I'm supposed to behave pretty well. Um, feel like that there's something bad happening too. When I,
Oh, it's so dark.
it is.
Hang on one second.
Okay, we're hanging on a second. Every time I talk to somebody about this, I get a whole mess of shit that I never thought about. This has been a lot more fruitful of an endeavor than I expected going into it. Thanks, Cam.
Yo,
It's a lot better than it was. But now it looks like
okay,
you're about to start rapping.
yo, political correctness. Clitoral erectness. No, okay. What were we talking about?
um, I so you've made some really good points that nobody else has brought to my attention and that I hadn't really considered. I'm gonna have to rewatch this afterwards.
Well, thank you.
Because I'm kind of on this journey of understanding what a lot of people think about this and what like everybody who's put out like a YouTube video or given a speech on it. Like I've consumed all of that stuff, but I don't think I've heard. Every person that I talk to seems to bring some new idea that I haven't really been able to consider, which is crazy because I thought a lot about this. Um,
Yeah.
and but I think that almost everybody that I've talked to seems to agree that there's a negative cost to these things. And when I was growing up, I always thought that the idea of political correctness is that we're giving up something, which would be not saying whatever you want whenever you want, in exchange for making the world a better place. But it
Yeah.
seems like it's also making the world a worse place in ways too.
Yeah.
Um, I like I typically think of it as political overcorrectness, where the punishment and the reaction to things that people have done seem to go way overboard, and we see people losing their jobs, or we see people getting death threats for something that may or may not be out of context, too.
Well,
The mob
uh,
doesn't care what the context is. It's just that they found out that you did something they could punish you for, and that they like to punish.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's one of the most interactive and satisfying things you can do as an audience member is destroy the creator.
Uh, yeah, I see that a lot in your chat, in a lot of streamers' chats. People like to find somebody slip up and go after them, even if it's literally a misspeak. Um, Hassan, I think, said the I don't know if he said the
Shit
N
skin.
word. Yeah, that's what he
He
did.
said shit skin.
Yeah, it was clearly a mistake. And don't get me wrong, I'm no
No,
fan of Hassan.
I think if you say that in your litany of insults, it sounds like he said it before.
Oh, I thought he literally just like got jumbled on words. But
Well, he changed it to shit dicked, didn't he? Which is just homophobic instead of racist.
yeah, yeah.
Let's watch the clip. He did say that, right? Am I
Yeah,
misremembering?
I think he did switch to shit dick. Uh,
He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to be racist. I just meant to be homophobic."
yeah, I think I got the clip. Yeah, I got the clip.
Hasty little shit skin, dumb motherfuckers, or shit dick, dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Me little bro.
I don't think I see. I wouldn't classify that as a slip up. That's okay. Well, we got to define what we mean by slip up. Is a slip up when you actually say like a combination of words that you weren't thinking and didn't mean to say, or is a slip up when you are blurting out racist shit and then you're like, oh, I forgot I shouldn't be blurting out racist shit right now because I'm in public. I feel like that, like, yeah, that kind of slip up is just like, okay, so you're calling people shit skin in private, like what the fuck, versus literally a combination of words that just happened to be really racist came out of your mouth for
Yeah,
no reason.
when you replayed it, it did sound pretty fluid. I guess when I remembered it, I thought he was like I thought he said something that was close enough in syllables or whatever. Yeah, that does seem like he's said shit
And
skinned and meant it.
yeah, and he caught it immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe people were okay to be a little upset about that. That's a pretty brutal one. It's like he invented
I
a word
don't
to
think he
be
should like
shitty.
lose his career. I don't think he should lose his career over it. But it's like it you know
Uh,
comes off as kind of racist.
yeah, and I guess I'd be okay with somebody losing their career. Like if Hassan lost his career because everybody who watched him, or like 85% of people that watched him, were offended by that and chose not to stop
Sure,
keep
that's your
watching
own
him.
audience. Like just doesn't want to watch you anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, you failed to deliver the product in which was expected, but there's a call to action, and if you don't heed the call of action, then you get grouped in with the bad
Yeah.
people too. And this is,
Too
I think it
much.
kind of freaks me out. Yeah. I guess it's sort of like this isn't the anarchy that was promised to me when people talk about anarchy, where individuals have all the power. Because it
Yeah.
does seem like individuals have a lot more power now, but they're just using it to hurt people. We're not using this power to like shame the state of Michigan into fixing Flint's water systems. We just
No.
rely on celebrities to send people in Flint bottles of water.
Yeah.
We're using it on people that are shitty to other people, even if it's just once. Who was there was a famous actor who I think he's just like destroyed now, because one of his friends got raped, and he said that she said it was a black guy, and he said he went out looking for uh, uh, the first black
Some
guy.
black bastard. That's
Yeah,
Liam Neeson.
it was Liam Neeson. Yeah, okay.
I went out with a, it's called a kosh. It's like a club. Looking for some black bastard. Hope he tries something. I was gonna kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't sound like
One
to
of the,
me.
but even superior to the Taken monologue.
It was
One of his best moments.
it was really intense to hear. But it seemed
Yeah.
like to me that he was in a very highly emotional state, to where it could have been any descriptor, and he would have been looking for somebody that fit that description. On
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I don't. I think
I would hope.
I don't think so. I think he even admitted that this was racist, like in that conversation.
Well, it's inherently racist because of what he said. I don't know. I think I have an issue where somebody's being attacked. I am always defensive,
Well, I don't.
defensive of them.
Yeah.
Like automatically, yeah. When somebody complains to me
But there's
about
no
somebody
reason to
else,
defend Liam Neeson. He's not. I mean, like he's not even defending himself. He's like, let me tell you a story about a time I went out trying to kill a black person.
uh, yeah.
and
Well,
then you,
what I'm
and
saying is, I think that
you're like, God, people just say the wrong thing at the wrong to one slip up, one innocent little slip up, and their whole careers are lost. Isn't it just terrible, Max? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And you're like, here's an example of a slip up.
it was
Remember the time?
well, I
Remember the
wasn't.
time that Liam Neeson? Remember the time Liam Neeson said, "I want to go murder a black man."
I wasn't using this as an example of a slip up.
Like, I don't know.
I was using this as an example of how people treated somebody for something they said one time. I wasn't. This wasn't a slip up, but
He one time.
well, that's
One,
all we got.
you went out one time to try to murder a black man, and all of a sudden you're a fucking racist. What is it with these politically correct people? Jesus Christ, lighten up. Fuck.
I probably could have used a better example. Sure. Um, but this is that. I think that the reactions are similar to where when that happened to him, as somebody digging up the fact that somebody said the N word or the F slur in a video game clip that they had. People, it's like people want to look for a time when you were bad and decide that you weren't punished sufficiently enough. But even then, too, people want to punish people for doing things that we think are bad now that weren't thought of as that bad then. Like it's almost like you should always be as good as we are now, and that as our values change, you must have always met the values that we have now, or we get to punish you, which leads to people digging through logs and things like that to try to prove that somebody is what we would consider to be now bad.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess what I'm building to is that people realized what kind of power calling somebody out for being politically incorrect is. This power is really strong, and I think that it's being abused heavily. And while I do think that it's good to hold people accountable for their actions to some degree, I think that the power is too tempting to not be abused, and I don't really know how to square it away with how people behave, and like I think how we think this ought to be used. When I say we, I just mean as like I think most people, well, a lot of people. I shouldn't say most people. A lot of people think that uh, punishments go too far. Some people think it doesn't go far enough, which I don't know what they want us to do, like fucking kill them.
I think you should be more specific with all of this, because now that you've said that you support Liam Neeson going out to murder black people, now I'm confused about what we're talking about. I just think you should be more specific when you're talking about blurting things out, saying something racist, saying something that later was problematic. Like, is it like, are we including the 97-year-old woman that Germany is now incarcerating because she was like a sharpened the pencils for the Nazis during the Holocaust, or are we like I and when you say punishment, are you talking about like crowd react, like retweeting? Is quote tweeting a punishment? Is quote tweeting from a big account, is that a punishment? Or are we talking about banning? Are we talking about investigations? Am I punishing Destiny? Am I going through Destiny's past to find things that are politically wrong now that he might have said or done, and I'm gonna air them out?
I think that
I don't know what you're talking about.
So I guess Destiny would be a good example. People used to try to get him on the fact that he used the F slur when he played StarCraft,
Yeah.
which was I think pretty normal. And then now today, like 2 Call of Duties ago, I heard somebody call somebody a fag, and then like the entire lobby dogpiled on this like 12-year-old kid. He's like, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that." They're like, "Well, then how did you mean it, homophobe?" And it was like it was kind of wild to see how the times had changed. Like people,
Yeah, but is that a punishment? That's what I'm
no,
saying.
no,
Is
no,
like, is
no,
that cancel culture for a bunch of people to be like, hey, fucking,
no. I thought
it's
that was
not
the funniest shit I've ever
2001
seen.
anymore?
No,
Okay.
but the thing is that if somebody found out that it had happened in 2001, um, they
So
would
I
try
just
to
don't.
hold it to the standard. Did
What
you?
I
Yeah, go ahead.
what? I want to know what examples you're talking about of someone getting canceled or punished somehow that you disagree with, for being politically incorrect.
You
When?
when you got taken off of Twitch
I
because you
got
had a
taken off first.
like it's the POCD conversation, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think so.
That's what I think
That was my
myself.
last stream,
Yeah, it's what
and
you
they
and I think
never.
everybody else thinks.
Okay, so I interviewed a 21 or 22-year-old girl who has an obsessive compulsive, or had, sorry, had gotten rid of and then said that I re-triggered her obsessive compulsive fear that she was a pedophile. And I was like, well, so what if you're a pedophile? Like, you don't have to kill yourself just because you're a pedophile. Just like, don't molest kids. It's not the end of the world, you know. There's worse things to be, kiddo. And that got me banned.
Yeah.
Was I being politically incorrect?
I
I
think
think they
that
just thought.
I think a lot of people would say so. I think a lot of people would take what you're saying and saying that you're glorifying pedophilia when you do that.
But is that politically incorrect?
I think it's the same mechanism. I think that I think that the force that's being used is the same thing.
Banning?
Yeah, I think that if it was if people didn't have a problem with what you were talking about, you wouldn't have been banned.
They didn't have a problem, but that doesn't.
I guess that's what I see political correctness when being wielded as a force is. It's saying that you said something that I have a problem with, and now there's going to be consequences for what you've said.
I just don't see. I just don't see it that way. I see. Um, I think it's wrong because I think that these platforms are the public square, and you need to be able to say shit like what I said in the public square. But I don't think it's the same as misgendering somebody or accidentally saying a racial slur that you didn't intend to say, you said it unthinkingly. I don't think what I said is the same, and I don't think their justification for banning me is the same. I think they were like, we are a platform for kids to watch 23-year-olds play Minecraft and then go into Discord servers and have sex with those kids. That's what Twitch is for. It's to introduce
I'm doing it wrong.
14-year-olds. It's to introduce 14-year-old kids to 25-year-olds. But it's not for really talking about complex ideas. It's for getting money out of kids, basically. It's kids watch ads and kids buy things on Twitch with their credit cards, their parents' credit cards. It's to get money from young people and sell ads. Twitch is not really for discussing politics. They'll tolerate it because it would be impossible to totally prevent it. But yeah, I think they just look at my content and they're like, well, why the fuck would we put you? You're just a liability. Like, you like. I think any platform looking at me from a business perspective and in a perspective that they not only have the ability to ban harmful speech, an obligation to. They're tasked by shareholders and users, and especially the parents of kids watching Twitch. They're tasked with the job of protecting the audience, and they see somebody, and they're tasked with making money from the shareholders. They see somebody who consistently is upsetting about 10 times the number of people that he's making happy, arrive on their platform and say things like, well, so what if you're a pedophile? It's not the end of the world. Which I'm sure that the powers that be at Twitch are intelligent enough to parse out what I'm saying, but a lot of the people in the audience aren't, and they just don't want to deal with it. And I think that the platforms, I think YouTube's bannings of me seem more automated, and then when they look at it, they're like, no, actually, it's worth it to have him. But Twitch, yeah, I think they just looked at me and they're like, I guess I just don't see it as the same mechanism as political correctness. I think they're just like, why would we platform you? We don't get anything out of it.
You don't think that happened as a result of people like massively flagging your stream?
Yeah, but people didn't mass flag my stream because they're pretending to be offended by what I said.
Mm-hmm.
They're mass flagging it because they genuinely think I am a bad person. And the same reason that my YouTube was mass flagged. They think I'm a bad person who is trying to ruin the country so that I can fuck their children and smirk and look them in the eye while I do it. I think they genuinely think that. I think they actually just don't really understand me or my content, and they are genuinely horrified and offended. I don't think they're virtue signaling. Some people are, but I think for the most part, they actually think I'm a bad person.
Yeah, I think that they probably do. I've talked to people that think that you're a horrible pedophile, and that anybody who supports you or is a fan of you must also be the same.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to have any real conversation about why that's not the case. It's like a conviction that they have.
Yeah.
I guess it freaks me out, the idea that people that have unmovable convictions are sort of just given the power to take away other people's right to say things then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, I think that's my problem too. It's not the outrage or the fake outrage. It's the that people just get to vote to kick you off social media.
Well, it's not. It's like a weird vote where only the people who are outraged get to vote. It's not like the fans get to also
No,
have
no,
a
no,
say
no.
in the
The fans vote. The
process.
fans vote with their wallets, and then the company looks at how much money you're bringing in and how much money you might cost them, and then they make a calculation based on that, which I agree is wrong and a problem. But
Well, yeah, but you can be as big as Destiny, and you're not going to be the harm that they see when people start complaining. It's never going to compare to the harm that can come to a platform by hosting something that people are upset about. It's like Destiny was banned from Twitch. He was like at least
he's a
in the top
liability.
200, yeah. So
Yeah, but
no matter how
he's a
much his
liability.
fans pay, it's never going to outweigh the like 300 flags they got on the stream that got him banned. So like you
Yeah.
can vote, but your vote doesn't matter because the people that are upset with you, it's not like
Well, no, like Steven Crowder can reenact George Floyd's death mockingly and still stay on YouTube.
what
I think a smaller creator might get the axe for that.
oh, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
As I say, I don't think you could do that on Twitch, but yeah, YouTube, yeah, almost certainly.
Then a smaller creator might have a hard time getting monetized after doing that. I think Crowder still monetized? I don't remember. I think they keep changing their mind.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are demonetized on YouTube now. It seems like you basically have to stream in order to make money off of YouTube if you're doing anything that's social commentary.
Oh,
Or you have to like edit your stuff because I think that you can get demonetized for swearing now.
no, I think he's demonetized as of May 2021. Never mind, I take it back.
Uh, a lot of people seem to think that this isn't a public square. Private businesses can give you the X for whatever they want.
Yeah, that's just a description of current law,
Yeah,
and it's the thing that we're arguing is wrong. So like, yes, that's true, but it shouldn't be true. That's what we're saying. Social media has basically become a telephone. Yeah, I agree with that. Hard life being a Mags fan out here. It is. It sucks.
oh yeah, there it is. The voracious Negro asked, "Do you think the technological revolution has made a need for a reevaluation of free speech?"
Yeah. Yeah, basically we're all communicating, making art, writing. I think just for the protection of art, like so much art now is taking place online. And I just think that it would be really good for society to have a public square that is accessible to the public. You know?
Yeah, I think that Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter seem to be the main ones, but I don't know how far out that could extend. I guess.
Well, the Texas law says if you have 50 million users per month, it applies to you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
So basically, they're saying if you're going to make that much fucking money and you're going to be that big, then you are the public square.
I think you said that you don't think that anybody should be banned off of YouTube unless they're breaking the law, correct?
In my ideal situation, no one is banned off of YouTube for any reason.
Would it
I
just
think
be that you
video,
have your content removed if your content breaks the law? That piece of
yeah,
content gets removed?
that piece of content gets removed if it breaks the law. Yeah. but I don't think you should be banned for any reason.
Why?
Because it's the public square. They can't be like if you go to Times Square and you scream out a bomb threat,
Mm-hmm.
you will be arrested, most likely, or possibly, and charged with a crime, and whatever the consequences of that are. One of the consequences is you're not allowed to come back to Times Square. You're not allowed to buy megaphones. They can't do that. They can't restrict your speech. They can fine you. They can restrict your freedom. They can restrict your privacy. The government can fuck up your life in all kinds of ways, but they're not allowed to tell you that you can't go back to that same spot with a megaphone and call out another bomb threat. You're allowed to do that. You have to be. And then they can arrest you again and do the whole same thing again. But at no point, you could do it every month for your entire life, and I don't think the government can ever. Oh, I guess maybe they can they ban you from entering New York City? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something they could do, but there isn't like a speech restriction that they can put on you. And I think YouTube should be the same way.
Um, I guess then that would extend all the way out to what did you think about like what about like COVID misinformation? I read everything that ever came out for a year straight about COVID, and I would also get like a bunch of articles that were like wrong about things, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy ones, but I tried to read them both because I wanted to understand why people thought some of the crazy ass things they thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you what do you think about like the disclaimers that get slapped on things like that? A lot of people are really upset and see this as an infringement on their free speech, that if they talk about COVID that there's going to be like a little watermark that says,
Yeah, I
hey,
agree
maybe
with
this is bullshit.
I agree with that. I think I mean, as the way the platform currently works with I think it's very underhanded and slimy for YouTube to be like, "Oh, so this video is doing really well. It's making a lot of money. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it on your homepage and we're going to blast it out to like 50 million people. But we're also going to put a label on it that says that it's not true.
Yeah.
And so that way we'll get 50 million people to watch these ads, and then we'll also fix the lies that we're telling them by saying it's not true." That seems kind of dumb, or worse than dumb, like
An
maybe evil.
overreach.
Might be evil. But in my ideal, my YouTube, where it's the public square, um, yeah, then if it's a public square, then they can't. It'd be like the phone company putting a note on your text to like your friend, being like, we fact check this and this isn't true. Whatever your friend just said isn't true. That's no, you can't. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. That the government has a messaging problem. They don't know how to get accurate information about COVID to into people's brains, and that's their problem to solve.
Yeah, because people don't trust the government. If the government says it,
Yeah,
it's immediately a lie to a good number of people.
yeah.
Um, when
But
I talk,
YouTube's making it worse by multiplying videos that feel good to watch. Because it feels good to be told the government's lying to you, but here's the real truth. I'll tell you the real truth. The real situation is you're safe. There isn't a deadly virus that is spreading across the world for no reason and killing millions of people. The real truth is some other thing that is much more nice to hear. That feels good, and then when they say, "Well, we'll just show people news that feels good," that they're making the problem worse there, and that's what they need to fix, I think.
wait, are you saying that they shouldn't, the algorithm shouldn't be blasting this video then?
The
Like if you're gonna
um
slap a label on it, then don't promote it. Is that would that be the better way
For
to do
sure.
it?
Well, for sure, if you're tipping the scales of what content gets shown to people to tip it towards more engaging content, you're also tipping it towards misinformation. and then to then label all the misinformation doesn't really undo that at all. It's just you trying to protect yourself, which is shitty. What they should do is um, fix the algorithm or remove the algorithm. But right now, the algorithm is tuned toward what is going to get the most addictive emotion. What's like a rabbit? There isn't really a COVID rabbit hole. If you watch COVID videos that are accurate, they're going to be really short and boring because there isn't a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, also too, if you watch and read a lot of things about COVID that are accurate, you will automatically start getting the radical, insane misinformation videos as well. Like if you search up
Yeah,
COVID, you're inevitably going to get 5G causes COVID. You're going to get
yes,
vaccines are killing people. You're going to get
yeah,
these
and
things.
those things don't make any sense. So I think when something doesn't make sense about like 5G causing COVID, you could watch 100 videos about that and they'll all be different, and you'll feel like every time like you're digging deeper and deeper into something,
Yeah.
like you're trying to figure something out. Whereas if it's just like COVID is caused by a virus that probably was leaked from a lab non-maliciously in Wuhan, China, and there's just you can theorize about it, and then if you start going down a theory hole, then there's tons of videos to watch. But if you just go by what is known, there's not like a lot of videos to watch. So YouTube benefits from you looking into what really happened on 9/11. And I don't think putting labels on it fixes that.
You don't, well, I won't even frame it like that. Do you think that there is a problem with promoting certain content over others when it comes to, like, does this not
Yeah.
automatically create a conflict of free
It
speech then?
yeah, it does.
So this is a public square, but this is a public square where some people get megaphones and other people
Yeah.
don't. Some people get
Right.
megaphones and they get put up on a pedestal so everybody can see them while they're yelling into it. And other people are told, no, you just have to stand by the bench and talk.
Yeah.
So the public square is already
There's an organic thing that happens in a real public square where if what you're saying is compelling, people will gather. And then when people see other people gathering, then they will come and check out what you're doing. I think there might be a way to recreate that with the algorithm. So it's like these are the popular people, these are the things that people are watching, these are things they're interested in, that people are interested in. Maybe there's a way to recreate that in a more organic way.
yeah, I think that that would be I don't think that there's any way to correct the problem with free speech not being shut down uh on YouTube. Even the idea
But
of
weighted.
demonetizing is another way to
No, creators and individual videos should not be monetized. It should just be an expectation that when you watch YouTube, you see ads. And then the creators can be paid based on views and engagement.
yeah.
But I think YouTube should get it out of your head that it's the creator that's monetized. It should be the whole platform is monetized.
Yeah, that's how Rumble is, correct? If I'm not mistaken in how that works.
I think so. I think that's how TikTok is too.
Yeah, because I
Like
think
you
that
just
if
see ads in your timeline. You don't see them in Twitter. I think most platforms are like that, where it's just the platform is monetized, not the person.
yeah, because if you say the wrong thing and know that your source of money gets taken away, you don't really have freedom to say what you want anymore. You have freedom. I mean, you technically can still say whatever you want, but if it's going to come out of your pocket, that's taking away a different freedom. You're trading freedoms. You're trading financial freedom for freedom of speech. Then,
Yeah.
so I don't think you can really have free speech on YouTube uh, if that element isn't there, or if that element is there. Sorry.
Right.
Um, did Did you have that issue at all? Did your I assume that your streams would make money, and then when they would just like be on YouTube, they wouldn't be monetized anymore?
No, they would. Most of them were monetized.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh, that's surprising. Because I
There were times where I was like, this conversation. I would say this conversation is not safe for all ads. This should be limited monetization because we're talking about like making horrible jokes about fucked up shit, and it shouldn't be monetized. I would mark it as not monetized, or limited monetization, like the yellow one, and
Yeah.
then like within 48 hours, I would get an email that was like, "Congratulations, your video is safe for all advertisers." So I thought that, yeah, like YouTube was felt more comfortable monetizing my content than I thought they would often.
Did the ones that got demonetized surprise you?
No.
Oh, okay. So that part always made sense, just not the opposite.
Yeah. YouTube has always been more supportive of me. I mean, when I got banned for the Cuties review, um, I was like, okay, okay, fine. Too many people got upset. You don't want my content, and then they fucking unbanned me. So YouTube has always been, they're very slow, and so I have to take months off at a time. But I suspect that they will unban me again. I think eventually. Maybe, I don't know.
Uh, yeah.
But
I mean,
I've been surprised at how supportive YouTube has been, to my content.
uh, do you think that? Well, I guess now it's not the case. When you were just on YouTube, uh, did you feel that kind of like monetization pressure to like stick on topics that were going to be like monetizable, and they weren't gonna like essentially take money out of your pocket?
Yeah. I tried to ignore it, but I definitely felt it. I would definitely, like, I would catch myself thinking like, wait, why don't I want to do a stream about that? Is that because it's gonna get demonetized? Because like, and even when I was taught, I was like, I would think of how I was gonna say to somebody, and I'd be like, you know, if you word this differently, you'll get $250. Because you're probably not going to say anything else that would get the video demonetized. You're about to say something that, is it worth $250 right now to not reword what you're about to say? And then I would always push myself to say the thing I was originally going to say. But yeah, it did creep into my thoughts
It's
for
like
sure.
it's like you had a little book smarts in your ear.
Yeah. Checkbook smarts.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that YouTube can possibly be the bastion of free speech that people tend to think that it is.
No.
And it inherently causes you to evaluate. Even it's got to be like it's got to be like subliminal, like you said. Like you have to
Yeah.
catch yourself doing it.
Yeah, there's no, yeah, I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I wanted to say and talk about that I didn't because I didn't want to spend the money
Yeah, and that it is the thing too.
without knowing it.
Yeah, it's not money you already have, but you are spending it. You're spending it to say a couple of words that's going to, um, essentially fuck you over.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um. Are you still? You said it during the Last of Us stream. Are you still suing YouTube, or is that not something that you can talk about?
I don't think I said I was going to. I think I said I want to and that I will look into it.
Oh, okay. Uh, did anything come of that? That would be if that actually happened, I think that would be like a that I think well Chud said what the headlines would be, but I think that would be
I can't find anybody who wants to.
you couldn't find anybody who would want to take them on.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense. You'd have basically no luck representing yourself in that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I need a lawyer, but I can't find a lawyer. I don't mean just for free. I mean I can't find a lawyer who wants to be paid to do that.
Yeah, yeah. But it would be
Because the
if
kind of
you're
lawyers who would be into it are lawyers who they don't want you to pay their like hourly rate. They want a chunk of a big settlement, and I think they just think that it's not going anywhere. But also, I mean, if the Supreme Court is ruling on HB 20 in the near future, um, it would suck to spend my life savings on a lawsuit that is rendered moot within weeks. So that's another thing is like this might just fix itself.
yeah.
Texas might fix this. I don't know.
Um oh, Will in his channel said so not 100% all the time, sometimes driven by money.
He said not 100% honest all the time, sometimes driven by money.
Yeah.
Will's got a temper, and his temper leads him to say things sometimes that are unfair. And so in my effort to be 100% honest with you right now, Will, what I'm saying is unconsciously, I think it is inevitable that the money I receive from the platforms that I talk on, it's inevitable that that money affects my ability to be honest.
Yeah, it's something you mentioned in the beginning, streaming, that you were worried might happen. Um,
Yeah.
and you commented on a bit too, like the Dr. K video. You said you spent all this time on it. It's not going to make anywhere near as much money as like a 2-hour stream would.
Right.
So it's
Yeah, I probably spent like 100 hours on a video, and it made $0.
yeah. Well now your videos you get paid a flat rate no matter how much you make. No
Oh,
matter how
because
much you put out, yeah.
I got Patreon and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't even know what my job is anymore. I don't know what I'm doing.
You do stream less. Well, also accessibility is like out the fucking window too. And you don't usually stream when it's somebody else's either. Like you didn't stream the Demon Mama President Sunday conversation either.
I think I'm trying to get out of streamer world. I'm trying to get into. I want people to see my stream. I want them to see things like blah 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 PhD, blah 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 expert, and blah blah blah. When I look at a stack of my streams, I don't want them to see words like demon mama.
Yeah,
I don't want them to see. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it looks like a hybrid of it's a lot like what your YouTube content was, just being streamed.
Yeah.
The things that would lead up to the inevitable video essay.
Yeah.
It seems like those are the kinds of things that you're streaming now.
Yeah, and then also I'm doing so many interviews that can't be streamed because they're for the article.
Oh, um,
So I'm having quite I'm spending a lot of time talking to people on calls, but yeah, they're not streamable, obviously.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. I guess when I look at your stream schedule, I'm not considering the fact that a lot of these empty days are probably filled up with work on the article. Which
Yeah, that's gonna be definitely more than 100 hours, and is uh, not only gonna make me no money, but has already cost me thousands of dollars in
yeah,
canceled Patreon memberships.
yeah. That article has definitely been uh the worst thing that's ever happened to your career. It's got to be worse than any other thing you've ever said or done.
Money-wise, yeah.
Yeah, financially and well, even like popularity wise in terms of growth.
Oh
I
yeah, that's
get
true.
shit for you writing that article. So I can
Yeah.
imagine the shit that you get. Uh People demand that I explain why you're writing the article, and sometimes I have the conversation, and sometimes I don't. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so I can imagine. This isn't really a complaint. It is what it is. People, in sort of the same vein of, it's not the same thing as political correctness, but people want you to be accountable for things that other people say if you
Hmm.
like them.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really bizarre that for the most part I would think of myself as a fan of you as I would be like any like show that I've watched. It's a little bit different with how streaming is, but people seem to like they want to hold people who support
Who
somebody.
are
It's like you
mad at
have to
you?
be held accountable for everything the person does that you're a fan of, and it seems
Yeah.
like it's an extension of this political correctness value. It might not be exactly the same thing, but it seems like because this has worked out so well for people to wield power over other people, that now this other thing happens where if you even like or retweet something that somebody says, you now
Hmm.
have to be held accountable for everything this person's ever said or done online, which is, I think it's just making people hate each other more. Because
I'm okay with it.
you see as the
I
good
think
thing.
you should. In the case that you're talking about, I think you should have to answer for my article.
I more often than not do end up having to answer for it. Yeah.
I think that's right. I think you should because you're not just a fan. You're working with me, and in some cases, for me. You're boosting me and are being boosted by me.
That's true. Um,
So you are suckling from the poison teat,
I guess the idea I did use
the
myself as an
monkey's paw.
example, but there's people that are in your community that I'm sure if people know that they're a Mr. Girl fan are going to get the exact same treatment as I would, just not
I don't
by
know.
people that are
I
as
don't.
known.
I'm. I don't know.
Oh,
That's a hypothetical, and I don't know that I agree with it. But I think that you specifically should have to answer for my actions.
uh, that very much is the way that it plays out, and I don't like I said I don't mind it. If nothing else, it's not like people in my real life want to have a discussion about any of the stuff that I'm into. Uh, if I say something happened on a Mr. Grill stream, it's just like okay, here's an abstract thing that I don't really understand anything about. But I
Okay.
think that well, the idea that I was trying to put out, using myself as an example, that if somebody likes or retweets a person that says something problematic, then like they get dogpiled like on Twitter because
Well,
like well
yeah,
you liked
because
this
you're
thing.
why when you retweet something, you're endorsing it.
Well, but it could be that because you retweeted a person who said something that you didn't retweet, now you have to answer for that as well.
I don't like your hypotheticals. I want you to give me a specific instance that this happened because otherwise it's just like doesn't it seem like that? I'm like, I get it's never happened to me.
Um, I guess I've just watched too much Twitch pull uh, to see these dog piles happening. But I know I don't have any specifics off the top of my head. But I've seen people get attacked by other streamers.
I mean, like
Before.
if I have a Hitler painting put on a T-shirt, I think it's right for people to be offended by that.
Uh, sh-
So
sure. Do you think that if you had a Hitler painting on a T-shirt and somebody liked your tweet about the Avatar movie, do you think that it would be okay for people to hold them accountable for the Hitler T-shirt?
My point about the Hitler T-shirt is to say that Hitler's paintings are not racist, but Hitler did other things that make it so that even if you endorse something that he said that isn't racist, I think it is right for people to. I don't even know what you mean by right. Like people get. You're saying they're pretending they're upset, or they're actually upset, or they shouldn't be upset, or they shouldn't talk about being upset.
I'm saying,
I don't know what your problem is.
no, wait, I'm asking you, when I say, do you think it's right? I'm saying, how do you feel about it, is what I'm saying.
I feel good about it. I think people should talk about it when they're mad at you, and it should be openly expressed. My problem with it is that if people get mad enough at you, then advertisers don't want you to talk anymore, and then platforms oblige them and ban you. That's my problem. I'm totally fine with people saying to me, and they did say to me for the past year, Destiny said this horrible thing, so how can you stream with him? Lauren Southern said this horrible thing. Why are you talking to her? Why are you talking to Richard Spencer? Don't you know he said blah, blah, blah? I'm fine with being held accountable for that. Yeah, I agree with all of that. I am boosting these people. I am benefiting from, I'm making money off of them. They're making money off of me. We are doing business together, and it's my job to know what they've said and what they've done and to engage with them responsibly. I think that's fine.
Fair enough.
Like I retweeted a Stone Toss comic a few weeks ago, I think. I did so very thoughtfully, and I thought about every comic that Stone Toss has ever made. I weighted against, which I disagree with a lot of the things he has said and done, obviously, but I weighted against the current situation. I felt like what he was saying was important, and I wanted to make a point to say, I disagree with most of what he says, but in this case, I think he's right. And I'm prepared to be criticized and attacked by the people on Twitter for doing so. I'm prepared to deal with that. And I think everybody should think about that before they retweet somebody who's controversial. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to retweet Stone Toss then be like, I didn't retweet his Holocaust denial stuff. I retweeted like something I agreed with. God, bleh. You guys are like, you're no fun. Like, no, fuck that. I'm benefiting from it. You know, I'm growing my platform. I have a loud voice that I get to exercise. I make money from it. Like, yeah, I should be held accountable, I think. I shouldn't be banned, but I think people giving me shit is fine.
Yeah, and I don't have so you can think of my opinions on these things as like really unformed goo. This is the first time I think I've really tried to take this subject head on, and I realized I'm too fucking stupid to understand the problems and nuances of free speech. So I'm just kind of some of the things that I'm talking about are my own ideas. Some of the things I'm talking about are other people's ideas. So I'm trying to get a broader picture rather than
I don't think you're
narrow pinpoint.
well, I don't think you're stupid. I just think that the ways that we talk about this usually are very abstract.
Yes.
No two people are going to agree on what cancel culture is. To me, tweeting obsessively about kids drag queen story hour, that's cancel culture. But to a conservative, they're stopping grooming. And to a conservative, liberals tweeting about Kanye West being anti-Semitic is cancel culture. And to liberals, they're like, no, I loved this man's music, and now I feel betrayed by him. Nobody thinks they're engaging in cancel culture. It's a cancel culture is a description, and virtue signaling is a description of something somebody else does that you feel very dismissive of. But if you actually, so I just think these as concepts, they're very subjective experiences. Cancel culture is a highly subjective experience.
Yeah.
So I think to do any kind of analysis on it, on what's actually happening, you would need to get specific about what was actually said, by whom, what the response was, and then what the outcome was in terms of affecting their career or livelihood or safety or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for me to figure out how I feel about any of these things. Which is why I'm trying to find out what a lot of other people think that have more time, either more time put into it, have had a greater ramifications put onto them for it. I think you'd fall under that category for sure.
Been to fucking jail, man.
Yeah, what was the charge? You got
Interference. Interference with faculty, staff, or students of an educational institution. 18-month maximum sentence.
I didn't even know that was a law.
It is in Colorado.
You could just be acting up in class.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess just based on the name of it. Yeah, I'm sure that there's
that's not
more
that's not what
specific
I
stuff.
no.
Yeah.
It's like in my case, you threatened to kill people and it made them unable to have class.
I gotcha.
So for me to be guilty, it would have to be you said something that a reasonable person would interpret as meaning it is unsafe to come to class and class can no longer operate because of what you said. That's the charge.
You're interrupting the flow of the educational process in its entirety.
By threatening to kill people, yeah.
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 Huh. I guess that makes sense. That's probably
If I had actually,
yeah.
I think it's a fine law. If I had actually threatened to kill anybody, I think it is fine to prosecute me for that. The problem was I fucking didn't, but that's why they dropped the charges, or gave me deferred prosecution and then dropped the charges.
Yeah. I think that's all I got. Is there anything you want to add on the subject?
You're talking in the chat. This is getting weird, guy. No, I'm just kidding.
Every once in a while, I'll respond like that. I don't like to respond to chat. I don't ever know when's the correct time to pause. So if somebody says something that requires a response, I usually type it rather than say it and interrupt the conversation. It always feels extremely rude to me when somebody stops. Like I would feel really rude, at least, if I stopped a conversation to respond to chat.
Yeah, people have complained to me about that.
They
said that I've been rude.
I don't really care what other people do. I'm just very conscious of my own manners.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Thanks for having this conversation with me, and I have a lot to consider. I'm gonna have to rewatch this, kind of take it in from not like me having the conversation perspective. I always forget everything that I stream, like right after it happens. It all gets blurred into how I feel about it. So thanks. I think this is was an important conversation for me to have in shaping my thoughts with this. Nobody said anything like the things that I got out of this. People feel very strongly about a lot of these subjects, and this one was a lot more. I think I was surprised by a lot of your answers, and I think that other people might be as well.
Ask if he would have gotten away with it if not for ACLU. There was a teacher named Ward Churchill who was fired from I think from CU for saying that the victims of 9/11 were little Eichmanns in the tower. And then there was like a headline hunting, spotlight loving lawyer who represented him in a lawsuit against CU, and he wanted to represent me too. He wanted to take me on a media tour. I was getting interview requests from every news channel, national news channels, shows, Dr. Phil, Nancy Grace. I was invited on to talk to all these big personalities, and he would have sent me on all of them and made a big spectacle of it. And I think we would have won. My case was pretty strong, and the case against me was very weak. No two people in the class could really agree on what threatening thing I had actually said, and my account of what I actually said and how the conversation actually went was corroborated by a few people that the police interviewed. If you listen to their interviews, you can tell that they're kind of like realizing they don't really have a case as they're conducting their interviews, but they'd already, arrested and charged me. So I do think I would have gotten away with it, but I think it would have been pretty bad for me. My lawyers were just like, don't talk to anybody, do not make any statements, I'll respond to any reporters, just don't do it. The ACLU also represented me in my case with judicial affairs at the school. Two different lawyers. I had a team of 4 lawyers. I had 2 for the criminal case and 2 for judicial affairs to try to get me unsuspended. And they got me evaluated by a psychologist. Which we had to pay for, but they basically just did it as best they could to show that I'm not a danger and I shouldn't be suspended and blah blah blah. And I eventually, they set up a meeting with me with the head of judicial affairs, and he interviewed me, and he was like kind of making his decision, and he within like 5 minutes he was like, yeah, I get your writing, I like, it's funny, and I'm retroactively unsuspending you. And like I think he said, I'm going to give you a retroactive 3-day suspension. I'd already been suspended for 2 months. He was like, you're allowed back on campus, you're allowed back to school, you can finish your classes, and we're good. So I don't know if all that I think I would have gotten away with it, basically. I don't know if all that preparation was necessary, but it was certainly nice to have. Yeah.
I know you said you got I don't know if you said it. You got removed from one of the papers you wrote for?
I got the paper shut down.
Oh.
The school paper at the University of Colorado was the Campus Press until I got hired as the assistant opinions editor. And the opinion editor was not interested in editing or reading any opinions. So I basically was like, it would be cool if, as the assistant, if I chose all of the articles that we publish and I edit them myself. Would you like that? And she was like, sure, I don't give a shit. So I just took over the opinion section. And the first thing I got in trouble for was a girl wrote an article called No Hablo Inglés. And it was her complaining about Mexicans who don't speak English in Colorado and how annoying it is and how Americans shouldn't have to learn Spanish and how they should learn English and how it's inconsiderate for them to not speak English. And I was like, right, we'll publish it. And then the editor-in-chief was like, this is racist. And I was like, I know that. Our job is not to not be racist. Our job is to represent the opinions of the students, and the students are racist. So this is her opinion, so we're going to publish it. Like, what's your problem? She was like, oh, I guess, okay, fine, let's do it. So we did that. There was like some blowback, and then I wrote an article called "If It's War the Asians Want, It's War They'll Get," which I had to fight. Not that hard for, though. The editor-in-chief was like, are we really doing this? And I was like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And she was like, okay, fine. Fine, we'll do it. So we did that, and it became the most read article ever on the website, and the school got involved and like denounced it. And then I think they fired the journalism advisor who was kind of overseeing the faculty member who was overseeing the paper. Then they derecognized and defunded the paper, and then everybody lost their jobs and the paper was shut down. And then a new paper had to be started called the CU Independent. So yeah, I destroyed the school paper.
I read articles from two different publications that you had written for. One of them had I think Colorado in the name or something like that.
I don't remember the name of the school paper for Colorado State.
Yeah, it was from that one. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I was curious, did you ever get booted for that? Anything you said in there? Because there was some pretty spicy ones after one of the administrators got in trouble. I thought it was pretty funny, and I was like, I can't believe
Wait.
this still exists.
Booted for what?
I was curious if you got booted off the paper for that at all.
Oh, at Colorado State?
Yeah, actually, that one was that was CU Independent, I think, the one that I was reading. Maybe.
Oh, okay. The CU Independent started, I think, the year I graduated, but they did not rehire me as the opinion editor. I had no affiliation with them. I wrote for the campus press, which was destroyed after that article came out.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go to there's a paper called the Colorado Daily. And I would go to their office was in the student center, and I would go every week and be like, hey, can I need a column. Can I have a job writing a column? And I would bring articles and stuff, and they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, I'm starting a newsletter. Here's my newsletter. Do you guys want to read my newsletter? And they'd be like, I don't know what this is. And I would just go over and over and over and over again. And eventually I developed some kind of rapport with them where they would be like, I guess we have to write about your newsletter because it's getting so much attention. So we'll interview you. But I never got the column.
Yeah, I saw the interview. I think that was them. Yeah, the really.
Oh no! They would write articles about me. The awkward interview with that girl. I think that was
It was awkward. Yes, that's a good way to.
I think she was from. No, I think she was from their Boulder news team.
Yes.
Yeah. They have a student or had a student news station, and she worked for that. It wasn't a newspaper.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
there's this part of me, even here in Oregon, there's this part of me that's like the local paper. I need a column in the local paper. I should be writing a column in the local paper. I just feel like I have to.
You have
a
big history of writing. Some people have just sent me old articles that you've written and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of blows me away that you don't still do any of that because
I do. Well, I am now.
Yeah, well, this is a little bit different. This is journalistic. Whereas before you wrote the one some administrator got in trouble for I don't know, doing something I think the vibe I got was they were doing something sexual with students, and you had a joke that was somewhere along the lines of oh well, if I knew that I wouldn't have dated it. I wouldn't have went on a date with him or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that Asian article.
I said if I knew that he was a child molester, I wouldn't have dated him.
Yeah.
I was 16 when I said that.
And then the War on Asians article, you read that one, and the one that you read about women gaining weighing too much, all those were hilarious. And it just doesn't exist anymore. Obviously, satire.
Oh, me writing?
Yeah, the satirical
Well,
pieces.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting my Substack, and maybe there will be. I'm sure even in this Destiny article, I'll find somewhere to put a little flavoring in there.
Well, cool. I hope you do write more. The only thing I could never find anything from the blog. Somebody sent me a link to the blog that's like locked down. But other than
Yeah,
that,
I had a sex blog.
I know I tried.
It's
All
locked
the
down. Yeah,
links.
it's really successfully locked down. It's nobody has uncovered it. It's
There's
crazy.
nothing. Yeah, there's no copies of anything anywhere other than it, and it's all locked up.
It's 1,000 pages long.
Jesus Christ.
I think if you printed it out, it would be 1,000 pages long. I think the word count is like it's way up there. Yeah,
Wow.
I wrote every day for I think like 9 months, 6 to 9 months. Every night before I went to bed, I would write, 500,000 words
Good God.
and draw a cartoon. I had cartoons for almost every entry too. And then I was like, okay, I think I accomplished what I needed to accomplish, and then I locked it down.
Huh. Interesting.
One
Yeah.
day,
Yeah, one day.
it will be unearthed. There's like 15 people who have permissions.
And you
And if
locked
any,
it down. Yeah, you
I
locked
locked
it
it
down, but
down.
didn't revoke permissions, so anybody could
No.
just leak it all out.
Yeah, any of those people could leak it out. Yeah.
Huh.
Shaylin has permissions. If anybody can convince Shaylin to leak my sex blog, I don't even remember the stories even when I was writing it, I would look back like a few months earlier and I'd be like, oh, I forgot about that. There's so many weird stories that I don't remember at all.
Yeah, that's how I think about when I stream. I don't remember anything that's said. I have to literally rewatch it to remember anything that was
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
As you just have a different brain when you're working on something.
Yeah.
He said unless he releases his sex vlog, his Destiny articles have no credibility. I don't think that's how that works.
Find those women.
Impossible.
Oh yeah, that I had made business cards that had my sex blog on them. And I would just go up to girls like on the bus or at Muni in San Francisco, and I'd be like, "Do you want to read my sex blog?" And they'd be like, "Sure." And I'd be like, "Check it out."
Oh, the balls.
Yeah.
You ever get I feel like there'd be a heavy fear of being assaulted in some way if you try to do that anymore.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
Oh
I don't agree
man.
with your hypothetical. Everything you say is all about how you can't do any. That's not true. You can look a woman deep in the eyes and say, "Do you want to read my sex blog?"
Well,
All is not lost, Drazi.
that's
America
just my
is
fear, yeah.
the blood is still pumping into America's fucking penis. I think we're alive. God damn it, the fire still burns.
uh yeah, I just think that you have to that takes a lot of confidence to do. You must have had quite the blog. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
scary to ask somebody to read something that you wrote, period, let alone a stranger. So, Christ.
Well, I was used to it at that point because I always handed out my newsletters by hand, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. When I wrote for the school paper, I'd have to hand my friends the pre-edited version because I knew it was going to get put through the fucking shredder. Uh, and they would edit it to where it made it look like I literally couldn't write. They would cut out like half of a sentence and it would just be like nonsense. It was like to punish me for writing.
It's not good.
No, it sucked. I had a very, very angry and strict teacher that was the editor, and he didn't like me. Never talked to me about the articles. Just said, okay, we're just gonna delete a bunch of shit and then print it. There was no revisions or anything. So yeah, maybe I have a bit of a jaded perspective about some things. So I've ran into a lot of opposition when it comes to speaking my mind. In fact,
Well, don't take it out on innocent girls that are just riding the bus that are horny but don't know that they're horny, because they were my target audience.
that's fair.
I used to address my audience as dear masturbating female reader.
Well, I mean, if you're handing out business cards and getting people to read it through that way, that's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't tag
See,
President Sunday in my chat.
see some girl on the bus and say she needs to be forced to masturbate, and I'd hand her my business card and be on my way.
Uh, that's impressive. I don't have that level of confidence in anything I've ever written. Yeah, I think that's it. I release you from your
My my obligation.
yeah, your obligation to have this conversation with me. Well, I don't know if you felt obligated or not, but it was cool that you said yeah.
I don't know how often, but I think I'm contracted to have some number of streams with the so-called orbiters.
Gotcha. Well, you're free to say no at any time as anybody else would be by my standards.
Yeah, but it seems like I should show up for some streams, you know?
I think it sets a better example. I do you think that you're trying to set a better standard than how people interact with their orbiters?
Certain people. Yes.
You know, certain people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
That makes sense. I avoided addressing the orbiter situation in the beginning. I thought about making a early Mr. Girl in Destiny Mimi joke. Yeah.
Meta commentary
Yeah, but
joke.
driving through a winter storm kind of took the joke writing brain right out of me when I got home to do this. It's scary out there. Well, yeah. So unless chat has anything they want to ask you, I'm good and I'm grateful. This was quite the conversation. It didn't go anywhere I thought it was gonna go.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you as well. You can pass that along to your family.
You too.
Your girlfriend and the cats. I will do.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good one, guys. Appreciate the stream, Jazzy. Thanks, all rounder. This is delusional. Orbiters of orbiters is not a thing. Okay. Tuna Chip, I just got here. You just missed him. You just missed Mr. Girl. It seemed like it had come to its natural end. I think that... Well, I'm hungry, too. I don't know if my girlfriend's home or not. If she is, I'm definitely gonna go. Leaking DM. Leaking whose DM? Oh shit. Oh, there's nothing on there. But that's a fair point. I should get that off there. I'm so bad at this. I don't stream enough. I don't stream enough to get good at this shit. It is literally just us talking about this conversation. No juice in the leaks. No. I did one time, I fully like fully doxed myself, like my full name and address on a YouTube video because Baby needed my address to mail me my Mr. Girl mod shirt. And when I went to go talk to him, I pulled up the Discord and to like, I pulled up our DM Discord to like talk so we could have like the video feed and all that. And I just had his little cat. But in our conversation, my address was fully there, and somebody had apparently made a Twitter account just to DM me about it, so that I could go into YouTube and blur it out. And I say this because they had no followers and they weren't following anybody. It looked like the Twitter account was like just made so that they could tell me that. So I appreciate that, Tuna. If that had been something, I'd have to like pull the stream down off of YouTube and then blur it and then put it back up like I had to do the other one. It's nonsense. Your biggest fans will never use your address for evil. That may be true, but there's a lot of people that don't like me just because I like Mr. Girl. I hope you guys thought that was a fruitful conversation. I can't be the only person that thought that some of the answers were surprising. Definitely gave me a lot to think about. Yeah, I think I'm done for tonight. And my girlfriend is home, so I'm not gonna see her much for the next 2 days. So I'm gonna get out of here and spend time with my wife and girlfriend while I can. This is kind of our Christmassy time to spend together. Thank you very much, Edgecase. I've been watching a lot of degenerate content. I'm in a very trolly mood. Yeah, you seem to have two modes. One is like extremely trolly, and the other one is like a very kind and compassionate person. Those are the only two versions of you that I see. I will, for sure, in January, the latest, release my vasectomy review video. It's been kind of hard for me to like look over the old video footage that I have of when I was going through all the stuff, and deal with it. Seeing myself vicariously through my wife's camera phone lens was a lot to deal with, and now I have to kind of just sort of put it all together in a way that makes sense. So that's coming out, and then hopefully by late January I'll have my informed opinions about free speech and political correctness in a video essay style piece. And the Mr. Girl video is I think I'm on like my third attempt to tell the story. I don't think a whole lot's going to change anymore. So I'm going to finish up these two videos, and then that's going to have my full attention. There's been some value in putting it off because I know that I'm getting better at video editing and just sort of putting things together. So I was kind of okay putting it on the back burner for a bit as I develop those skills. And I think if I made it like 2 months ago, it would have been a lot shittier than it's going to be. So that's what's going on with that. I'm going to get out of here now. If you like the stream, oh wow, there's actually quite a lot of likes on here. You did like it. And feel free to subscribe to my YouTube. It's 100% for free. That's it. I am out of here. Thank you guys very much for showing up. I recognize most of the names here, so it's nice to see the Mr. Girl community on YouTube. Have a good night.